Most gym rats fit into one of two categories. They either are too lean consistently, or they're permabulking. These are literally the only two pathways these people see. Then you have Anatoly. Anatoly has been too lean before, and he's been too fat before, but he's never remained in these areas. He's always perfectly balanced throughout the curve to have a journey from being super lean to super bear mode. I wanted to reach 100 kilograms, and I had this notion in my head that I would get to 100 even if it killed me. I don't mean kill literally. I'm sure if I died, I probably wouldn't enjoy that. But I was so determined, and no matter what health consequences were thrown my way, I was going to face it, I was going to accept it, and I was going to keep going. I thought this was discipline. I thought this was something that would make me better or stronger or wiser or more consistent, more driven, more committed. This isn't what happens. See, the problem with my bulk is I came off of an injury which before that had a disastrous cut. A cut where I had stopped eating properly, I stopped working out properly, I stopped having protein properly, and I had dropped. I had dropped all the way down to 70 kilograms. And this wasn't even me losing fat. It was me mainly losing muscle alongside a bit of fat. And then what happens? A few months later, probably as a result of overtraining or a result of poor recovery or the lack of proper nutrients in the cut, I ended up getting injured. I tore a ligament in my knee, and this caused me to almost overnight gain 10 kilos. I went all the way back up to 80. I basically gained all the fat I had lost, but I'd also lost muscle. So I regressed. I went backwards, and it sucked. Like, it really sucked, because that cut was so important and so difficult, and I couldn't even get away with the lack of fat. I lost muscle and then the fat came back. Like, how sad is that? That's not supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to lose like a year's worth of progress because of two absolute horror shows in a row. It's awful. And so I just couldn't accept it. I could not let something like that happen to me again. I could not let a bulk be thrown away. And so I decided I was going to have the longest bulk, the best bulk, the cleanest bulk, something that could go on for ages and ages and ages, so I could build up so much muscle. And sure, I might go a bit higher of the body fat, but it'll be fine. Then I'll cut. Then I'll work my way back down, and I'll actually have a base built up. I'll need to carve away, remove some of that fat. And that's what I did. 100 kilograms, it really was just a number. I saw it as something which is so sacred, something which was like the creme de la creme, the highest point, my peak, and then I could stop. And the fact is, this wasn't even my original goal. My original goal was 95 kilos, which is actually something I'm sitting at above right now. And I actually said this goal in one of my old videos, a goal talking about how you need to bulk, which I still believe a majority of people need to bulk unless they are, over like 25 BMI. Only if they're overweight do they need to start cutting or considering cutting. I mean, here's a little actionable step for you. Sit here and ask yourselves, do I need to cut? Do I need to bulk? If you do not feel a definite need to cut, then you need to bulk. When you need to cut, you know you need to cut because you are so fat. You are so absolutely ridiculously fat that you know that you need to lose weight. You know you need to lose some of that fat, and of course along the way gain some muscle. But I was difficult. I was really difficult. And what I probably should have done is somewhere along this bulk, all the way up to 100. Didn't get that, by the way. I got so close. 98 kilos. Isn't that crazy? 98. And it took a strong man to say, no, I'm not going to go to 100. No, I'm not going to do one more month. I need to stop now. I need to stop doing this because of the health concerns. I'll speak a bit more about them later. I think you'll find it quite interesting. But I was persistent. And along the way of going up and up and up and up, there should have been a mini cut or two. I should have reflected and gone, okay, I'll take a month, I'll do an aggressive cut, I'll go to maintenance, I'll continue bulking, just to cut down some of that fat. 'Cause like I knew I'd gained a lot of fat from the absolute stupid injury, stupid cut. But I kept going. I kept going and going and going, training as hard as possible, eating as hard as possible, keeping things clean, keeping things normal. And it worked. I got on those scans. I get those scan thingies. I don't really believe in their accuracy, but I do believe in their consistency. because a machine that gives an inaccurate reading will continue giving a similar inaccurate reading. So it can track progress because we can see a linear sort of thing, even if the results, even if the points aren't exactly where they're supposed to be. And it said, it might not be 100% sure, but I like going off the number. It said that in about 8 months, which was my duration of the bulk, I had gained 8 kilos of lean tissue. Now, we can speculate if that was all lean tissue, probably isn't. But alongside that, I think I gained something like 11 kilos of fat. Now, normally 1-to-1 is what you'd like, so that's not even that bad. But the bigger problem there was I was gaining it from an already fat side. Like, not fat, but I wasn't lean when I started because of the rebound effect. And to be completely honest with you, I think my muscle growth would have been higher if I had a mini cut. That sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? 1 month of a bulk? 1 month where I'm not actually focusing on putting on mass and eating in a surplus. Instead, I'm focusing on getting lighter and removing some of the fat. How on earth could that propel me into having more muscle? That's the thing. The higher body fat you are, the body starts to deprioritize building muscle. It starts to focus on storing because, it's there's so much extra. It just wants to store. It doesn't want to build anymore. And that absolutely sucked, which is why I believe that could have been 9-10 kilos just if I'd done 1 or 2 mini cuts. That's all it would have taken. And so I'd gained a lot of weight. Like, clearly I'd gained a lot of weight. And you might be sitting there like, 98 isn't too heavy. Like, what could have gone on? You see, there's something called visceral fat, which is basically the fat around your organs. And that can cause issues. Supposedly, if you do proper cardio when you bulk up, you don't get as much. Might be true, might not. But I didn't do that. And the visceral fat built up quite a bit, to the point where I started developing acid reflux. For the last so many months, I've had the worst acid reflux in my life. Like, it's awful. It makes everything suck. It keeps you up at night sometimes. It makes it feel like you have to avoid certain foods. It's just not nice having something like control you and have power over you in that way. For the past 2 months, something even worse came up. It's called like nocturia puliaria, I don't know. It's nighttime urination. Nighttime urination, not like the occasional once a week going to the toilet, but every single day, 2-3 times, you wake up in the middle of the night, you go to the toilet, you pee for about 30 seconds, you go back. During the day, 8 times a day, you're going to the toilet, you're peeing for 30 seconds. I did a urinary volume test, right? Which is just peeing into a jug for 24 hours to measure, and I peed out more than I actually consumed. I peed out 3.7 liters of water in 24 hours. Do you know how ridiculous that is? And I know some people may talk about like, oh, you probably have diabetes. No. See, the visceral fat had built up so much to the point where it was causing so much pressure on like my bladder and my kidneys and my liver and my like probably prostate. I don't know. There was so much pressure on everything that the urination was like constant, right? When I was sleeping, my body wasn't able to produce a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, which stops us from peeing in our sleep. It stops us from having to wake up to pee because we're awake, we're asleep for so many hours, 8 to 10 hours. That's what that hormone is. And my body couldn't produce it because the visceral fat was causing so much pressure in a way where it felt the need to pee always. So it wasn't able to produce the hormone even when I was sleeping, as I wasn't able to get to the stage of deep sleep where the hormone's produced. Isn't that ridiculous? It got to the point where I started doing research and I started trying to find a way to fix it. And I found the medication they used to actually treat that condition, the one they use for diabetes. And honestly, I didn't get anywhere with it, purely because I thought you could just simply buy it. They'd send it and you would take it and you wouldn't have to pee at night. Like, I thought it would be that easy, but it really wasn't. The website made it seem like that no prescription was required, and then 2 days later, I checked my emails and it's something saying, this has been cancelled, you've been refunded because you don't have a prescription. And I was like, okay, great. So now I try and contact my GP, see if I can get something sorted, send an email, call them. They just don't respond. They don't get back to me. And then I realize that I can't keep going on this. Like, this is ruining my sleep. This is really unpleasant and I just don't want it for longer. Like, imagine having to pee this often. It's not fun. Imagine the acid reflux too. Like, that is bad enough, but it doesn't it wasn't affecting my sleep enough. And I'm someone who enjoys sleep too much. Like, I stress over the effect sleep has. Like, if I have bad sleep, I'm absolutely awful. I'm moody. I'm annoying. Not annoying, but I am annoyed. I just don't get through the day. Like, everyone causes me pain. Anything anyone says, I'm just like, nails on the chalkboard or whatever it is. And when I was hit with this realization that I couldn't get that last 2 kilos, I couldn't keep going because me getting that medication would take months just because of the state of the NHS here. Free healthcare is great, but the queues are not. I struggled. For a few days, I really struggled. I was journaling about it and I couldn't work out what to do because I had this goal of 100 for a while since getting to 90 because I knew it was so achievable. It was so close. I made videos speaking about how I'm going to stop at 100. I'm going to keep going even though I have acid reflux, even though there's some health concerns related. I thought I was going to get there. And I really, really was excited. I was ready. I was going to face whatever dangers. I was going to stare death down its eyes and whatnot and keep going and keep moving forward. But at the end of the 2 days of journaling, I realized I couldn't keep it up. See, that's the thing. I'm going to be in this for a long time. And truth is, getting to 100 is going to happen one day. Getting to 100 isn't going to happen this time. That's what I felt inside. I just felt like I couldn't do it. And besides, the extra 2 kilos I gain, that'd probably be like 500 grams of muscle. And even if it is higher, I could get more next time I get to 100. Like, I could look a lot better. I could feel a lot better. I wouldn't have acid reflux. I wouldn't have to wake up to pee because I'm never pushing a bulk that high before. Like, I think I genuinely got like 25-30% body fat. Like, the visceral fat's obviously the main issue, but that's not a nice thing to have alongside it because now I'm going to have to cut for longer, I'm going to have to cut harder, and it's going to be a bit more difficult to kind of go forward. But that's fine. I committed, and you got to do things like this. You got to make mistakes. You got to push yourself to its limits because now it's a checkpoint. Now I can get to 98, I can get to 95 kilos, and it'll be so easy because I've been there before. And then it'll start getting hard when I go above. That's what the checkpoint is, the weight checkpoint. I will admit, though, my body was telling me that it needs to stop. Like, imagine you're eating food and sometimes you get like shakes. You get shakes because you can't finish it. And then you try and you try and you try. And then you kind of get like a food coma after. Like, you're absolutely out. But I wanted to do it smartly. So I gave myself a week. I gave myself the Sunday for my death row meals. And this, I could have done so many things for my death row meals, right? This is my last proper meal before a super strict regimen of really, really low calories. I could have done anything. I could have ordered and I could have gone completely wild. And I realized I didn't want to get junk food. I didn't want to get ready meals. I didn't want to do all this. I didn't want to spend a ton of money. But I did want to have foods I enjoyed. And so I got to work. I love cooking. So what did I do? I went to the store. I got everything I needed. And I cooked a burger. A proper American burger. American cheese. I know it's unhealthy. I don't care. This is the last time I'm going to have something unhealthy for months. So sorry, I don't want to get too solemn in that sort of thing. But I got my burger. I made some fries, some really good fries. I'm really good at making them. I say fries, but they're more like oven wedges. And I made gravy. And I made a poutine. I love poutine. I made burger, poutine. That was my first meal of the day. And that one was difficult to get through. And then my second death row meal was tacos. Man, I love tacos. The soft shell tacos. They're so good. And so I made it soft shell taco. The beef properly. I cooked it for the entire day, man. It was like 10 hours. 10 hours cooked. It was so perfect. Some sour cream, some cheese, some lettuce, and then some crunched up tortilla chips just to add that extra crunch. And I ate it. And I was stuffed. I was so stuffed. But then I realized I hadn't actually finished. I still had more to eat. I hadn't had my daily strawberries. And so I went to get my daily strawberries. And then I realized I had my daily dark chocolate. So I had my daily dark chocolate. And dark chocolate kind of leaves this like filmy sort of thing in your mouth. Like, if you had like a high percent, you'd recognize what I'm talking about. So I had to have a drink after that. Now this drink was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because I had this drink of water, a tiny amount. I get this sharp pain in my stomach. This absolutely horrible sharp pain. I feel so bad. I feel so sick. And I also feel so tired. I've eaten so much in this day. And I lie on bed, like right behind me. I lie in my bed. For the next 3 hours, I'm there. in pain, not moving. Nothing was wrong. I just eaten a lot. Like my stomach was at its limits. And now I'm cutting. The cut was aggressive. And this is honestly something you should do. Like, cut should be minimized, because you can be like, oh, an aggressive deficit, won't that like make me lose muscle? But it's the time that makes you lose muscle. It's not like the aggressiveness of your cut. If you get enough protein, if you give your muscle enough stimulus, time is the killer. And so I'm going quite aggressive. I'm starting at 1.5k calories, and that's basically no carbs, the right amount of protein, and the right amount of fat, because fat is very important. Anyone who tells you otherwise is they're kidding themselves. Like, they're lying to you. I'm making sure the micronutrients is there, and it's been difficult. I will say it's been difficult. Hunger has not always been the greatest thing, although I can kind of like, I don't want to say enjoy the hunger, but hunger doesn't really faze me. Although I still feel the I still feel the emotion, obviously, but it doesn't really faze me. It's not gonna like make me go to KFC. Although I will have so many moments where I'm kind of sitting there, I'm like, man, I want to order some food. I want to like have something, not even because I'm bored of what I'm eating, but because I want to like feel the hunger. But I never give in to that sort of thing. I'm very dedicated, and plus, ordering in food is money. So you best believe I'm not going to do that, man. Very committed to my cut, sorry. Because I'm not committed to it if I'm not even giving it the right name. I'm trying to like reverse psychology myself. My meal plan's boring. It's 3 chicken breasts, 400 grams of raspberries, which is a lot to be fair, 100 grams of rice, 3 eggs, 250 milliliters of kefir, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of sesame oil, 2 squares of dark chocolate, and have I said 3 eggs? That's it. That's all I get. But to be honest, I've never felt better. My sleep has somehow got better. I'm not peeing as much. We're 4 days in, so I'm probably overreacting. But it just feels different. I feel like I'm really getting somewhere. And already I've lost 7 pounds. I've lost 3 kilos almost overnight. I know none of that's fat. Maybe a little bit. But that's my water gone. That's my glycogen gone. And as soon as the rapid weight loss disappears, we're going to start being able to track the actual fat loss. Got to stay super consistent in the gym, because that matters. And so I urge you, if you're at a place where you think you're permabulking, you're actually going too far, do a mini cut. Do a really aggressive 1 month cut and just get a bit leaner. Get away some of that fat. Like, it does make a difference. If I'm telling you this, then just trust me. All the other influencers out there, I don't know how they do it. They become these obese, permabulked guys. They're like completely fat and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think they have the same health consequences I did. Now, that's not to say they didn't have the same amount of visceral fat. It's just that I may have been more sensitive to those things. And that makes me the perfect reason why you should listen. Because those were the things I could feel. The acid reflux and the need to pee were things I could notice. All the other organs are being choked. And those things are less noticeable. So can you imagine I didn't have those 2 things, and I continued going and everything else is being strangled? I'm the perfect person to tell you that you can't go that far, because I have had the rare, unlucky, actually noticeable side effects. That makes me the perfect person. Because it won't happen to you, probably. I think it's a rare thing for it to happen, especially both of them. Like, I got dealt a bad hand, let's be real. But you don't want that to happen to you. And so will you go that hard? Probably not. My last cut was very difficult for me, as I had a deadline in mind and I had a physique in my head, which I cannot have this time. I just have to ride the wave, keep on giving it my all. Because when you have a deadline and when you have a goal, what ends up happening is you don't reach it by the deadline and you push it. Your first cut is always going to be the worst one and the most disappointing one. So you cannot give in to some insane desire like you're going to look like David Lade. If you do that, it will go horrible. You will get to a place where you're eating not even enough protein. When you're eating such a small amount because you believe that because you believe you're not progressing as fast as you like. And that is what causes you to lose all your muscle, to have a cut that is way too long. Like my cut, I lost like 9 kilos in the last month. And all the time before that was me barely losing weight because my sister out of nowhere started baking. And I don't even know why I wasn't even going to the gym. I think it was just a part of my life where I was overtraining. I wasn't training to failure. I was doing so much junk volume. You think I'm going to get in the gym when I'm overtraining, when it's a struggle when you're bulking because of how much overtraining is going on? Do you think that the junk volume is actually going to be manageable when you first enter a cut? When you enter a cut and your routine, you have to drop exercises and drop sets and you just can't handle the load anymore, that is a pure sign that your bulk routine is too much. If you switch from a bulk to a cut, you should not have to change your programming at all. It should be the exact same. Otherwise, you're programming things inappropriately in your bulk. There is no way you're going to recover from volume that isn't actually stimulating anything. It's absolutely ridiculous and it's absolutely insane. And it only takes hindsight to know this. Like, I'm telling you this because I don't want you to fall through the same things that happen. I don't want your first cut to send you back a year. I don't want your bulk to hurt you, to ruin your sleep, to make you really, really not enjoying being awake just because you have like acid reflux or needing to pee or whatever it may be. I don't want you guys to have these things. And so I'm going to give you a few steps so you can prevent this sort of thing. Step 1 is literally track your BMI, track your body fat percentage. The way I like to perceive it is if you're within the healthy range, you can be any body fat. I truly do not care. When you get overweight, that's when body fat matters. And that's literally what I found. Because I've been at a decently high body fat before when I was in a healthy range and the overweight range. And the issues only came when I was in the overweight BMI. And that's when I got to like maybe 20, 26, 28. So that's very, on the overweight side. That's when you have to work. That's when you have to go like, okay, I need to cut. But if you're in the healthy range, bulk. It's only when your body fat is high and you're overweight or you're obese that you have to cut. Cutting for you is going to come years down the line. You want to keep that clean and you want to keep that long. So that goes into step 2. And that's literally your bulk. What are you doing? You're doing 500 calories. I know I said keep it clean, keep it low. But 250 is way too low. It genuinely is way too low. 500 is the perfect amount. 500 you're able to consistently go up and up and up. And it's something where you're just starting. Do you know how difficult it is to be consistent with tracking and all this stuff when you're just beginning? It's difficult. Like, I barely was able to track properly when I started. My mum's dinners would be complete like a minefield. I don't know how to measure things. It's so difficult. And 250 is so small. It's so small where the changes take so long to see if they're popped up. For you to actually even work out if you're eating the right amount of calories. So how on earth can you really say to yourself that you're going to be able to bulk at that weight? You will not gain weight. 500 is something easy. We can see in 2 weeks, if I haven't gained a kilo, something's wrong. In a month, if I haven't gained 2 kilos, something's wrong. And that's why it's such a good thing to stick to. Also, 250 is so easy to overshoot. You walk too much. You do a bit too much cardio. Your gym session overruns. And you completely lose your surplus. It's way too inconsistent and I just wouldn't recommend it. Like, it's a really, really bad thing. So that leads into step 3 too. How can we even work out we're having the right calories? You gotta extrapolate your data. You've got to be tracking everything. I know this is going to be difficult, but you just got to do it, man. You got to be consistent. You got to be persistent, and eventually it'll become an automatic habit. It won't even be a struggle for you. And when we do this, we're able to look at our weekly weight gain and our weekly calories. And through this, we can literally plug and play. We can be like, okay, so I gained 300 grams a week on average, and my calories were 3.3 thousand. That means we take the 300 in grams, we take the calories, and for every 1 gram we gained is 1 calories of surplus, which means our maintenance is 3,000. So if we were to magically go to 1.5, say we needed a mini cut, that would be a deficit of 1.5 thousand calories, and we probably end up losing something like 1.5 kilograms a week, although, that's going to slow down, and obviously at first it's going to be a lot of water weight lost. But that's as easy as it is. You're able to work out if you're not eating enough by just every now and then plugging it in, plugging the numbers in. Am I getting enough weight? That's as simple it is. It's so simple. And so I'm going to move into the next step, step 4. You need to cut when it goes too far. And it will go too far, probably. But you have to let it go too far. I say this because I think people need to push it far. As like I said at the beginning, most gym rats are either stuck persistently being too lean or persistently being too permabulked. And if you're on the side where you're scared of gaining fat and you never really push the limits, you will get nowhere. because you will not know discomfort, and you will not know the sort of thing that you're pushing into. You will not do the whole thing. You know when guys start like improving themselves and they like shave their head and they're like, this makes me more focused on other things, and it's discomfort, and it's going to make me so much more comfortable in myself. That is what we're doing here. When we start pushing that limit, sure, it's not fun, but we got to do it. Not excessively though. That's what I mean. Not excessively. We do not go to a high body fat at that range. And you may wonder why that sort of thing is, which leads us into step 5. We're going to be doing this for a long, long time. We have a lot of gains ahead of us, a lot of natural gains, guys, natural gains. I want to make sure that you're doing it naturally. And think about this. Why on earth is Fletcher telling me I could be a high body fat in the healthy range, but then when I'm overweight and obese, I can't be a high body fat? It's because we don't have enough baseline, we don't have enough muscle. And so when you do end up having enough muscle in 5 years' time, and you're inside an overweight BMI, if your body fat is above 20%, then you don't actually have enough muscle baseline to be in that bracket, right? Going bear mode is something which is going to be absolutely incredible when you get to that place. That's how you're going to gain most of your muscle. But truth is, when you get to that overweight and you are in bear mode, you won't need to go any higher. You won't even want to. And it will take a while to get there, to be honestly, because you have so much more muscle, so you have so much more fat that you can gain in your bulk. And these can be long bolts and these are going to be long bulks and shortcuts. Because remember, we want to minimize any sort of time cutting. We want to minimize any sort of muscle loss. Here's another actionable step. I want you to install Chronometer. I want you to get some sort of tracking app of your weight, whether that be from a body weight scale where you can have it digitally thrown in. I want you to sync Chronometer with your phone's health app, and I want you to start extrapolating the data. You already know if you need to bulk or cut. Don't start going to the comment section and asking, but I do need to cut, 133 centimeters, and I'm 74 kilograms, and I think I'm 12% body fat, but to be honest, I don't really know. I looked at an image online. You need to bulk, okay? If you need to cut, you already know. So let's stop this whole lying to everyone.